Well, this morning before church, I'm going to put in a little bit of time. I'm going to try and clear out with some handy dandy tools here. Just kind of a planner, I guess we call it. But clear out around the base of some of these trees and shrubs and such. Just a little bit more to make sure that I don't have any muscadine or greenbrier growing up in between and along the trees and such. So that's my project for this morning. Well, I made a little progress. Got a pile made. Didn't end up trimming up around the base of the trees like I thought I was going to. Although some of that did happen. I got a lot more of the muscadine and greenbrier off of the oaks. One of the oaks was so rotted, I just pulled at the trunk at the base and it just snapped, so it'd been dead for a while. That's the trouble with this this muscadine. I guess it's kind of invasive, as like in the kudzu. See if I can get up where you can see this one tree. Of course, I got this huge pile in front of me now. But you can see that tree. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Yeah, that just got pulled down by the weight of the kudzu, or not the kudzu, muscadine. And it just kind of smothers and eventually kills the tree. So I don't know if that one's going to make it either. And his friend next to him has just got pulled over. But that's kind of what we're up against. We're trying to save as many of the trees and deal with the overgrown stuff here. But now this was kind of, you couldn't see through there earlier today when I started, but now it's kind of all cleared up. Got to figure out at some point as I clear this, I don't really want to see my neighbor's yard as much. So I may have to figure out another planting or let these things fill in and droop a little bit. But yeah, good progress. The maple tree in the middle of the yard finally leafed out. It's looking really good. Oh, and see, oh, there goes Thor off in the background, zooming away. Found something to chase. I want to go over and check a couple of these other trees here too. This is an area we cleared, a couple weeks ago, and the trees are starting to leaf out again. This oak, you can kind of see what I was talking about. It's a little smushed on top by the muscadine. And then of course this one really is a great example of being smushed. It's a very old, well, much older tree, but it just had been flattened and spread out and smushed. But it's actually leafing out. I'm really curious on how these things are going to turn out. And then over there is another one that we worked on after this other section. And that tree is really leafing out well. I see some dead stuff in there. I got to go over and look and see if that's old vine or if we've got some snapped. As we pull the vines out, we're trying to be careful, and I'm wondering maybe if pulling the vines down is such a great idea. Just letting them die there, and instead of pulling them out. Because when we pull them out, what happens sometimes is you twist a branch, and it kills that off. So we learn as we go. Certainly a lot to learn in this property. My laurel oak is looking really good. Kind of hard to see it against the contrast of all the other greenery in the background. Hopefully it shows up on camera, but it's alive. So yeah, I know I can transplant trees now. Here's my aspen. I think it's the only one on the property. Of course, as we explore, we'll find more. If it's not an aspen, let me know. But that's what I think it is. I don't know why it's not leafing out up higher. Is that typical of aspens? I don't know. But the rest of the top of it looks like totally dead. But anyway, it's still alive. It's leafing out. Good times. Well, coming back for take 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. I get to ride again. Woohoo! Well, that was kind of different. We got on with my friend Jamie, I just met, and at the Big Bang scene, the first brake stop, it stopped. And we're facing backwards, and it's supposed to launch us backwards and then start spinning and play soundtrack and all that fun stuff, but didn't happen. Our train vehicles were all stacked backwards, so that was an interesting ride. I rode Guardians of the Galaxy with our seat locked backwards the whole way. Anyway, they let us rewrite, and that time it worked well. So, but good times. All right, next step in the transition of the front yard. I'm going to see if I can get rid of some of this palmetto around. Actually, a good sized oak tree in there. So if I can get that out of the way, that would be awesome. Or not the oak tree, but the palmettos and some of the other greenbrier and muscadine. So that's the project for lunch. Well, I got palmetto cleared out around this oak tree, and just got a little bit more work to do in the area, but for the most part, pretty successful lunch break. Kubota's doing really awesome, and yeah, good times. If you were trying to get a perspective of how much palmetto I actually pulled out, they're about 6, I think, but pretty much filled the grapple on the Kubota. Let me turn the camera around and see if I can get a walk around for you to see. So, yeah, there's so much greenery around here, but you can kind of see it. It pretty much filled that Kubota grapple. And it's kind of sticking out on the outsides. See if I can walk around this other side. Yeah, good amount of work. All right, I think I'm getting tired. Starting to yank on things that shouldn't be yanked, and gonna pull down one of these trees. It's so enticing, you know, and tempting to just kind of keep going, but I gotta try and save the oaks and some of the other trees in this area. But I got most of this cleared out here, so that was good. The maple I bent quite a few times, and there's another, I don't know what this one is back here. There was a huge mess of palmetto I had to try and dig out here. I kept wondering if I was going to hit the roots for the pines, but that's the oak I'm trying to save. I did kind of nick it around this side. There's some huge you can kind of see it right there. I nicked it a little bit, and hopefully he survives. We shall see. There's another oak there that I'm trying to save, and I think that's a maple that we're working around. But some of these, I get into this and I don't realize how much of this evil stuff there actually is. This is that greenbrier. Oh, well, look at that. Another rock. Seems like they would just kind of take a lot of their trash and throw it into the woods here, which creates another problem later on. But I got to get up to that row of palmetto, but I got to get through some of this other stuff. Maybe that will be tomorrow. I think I need to get Karen out here to help keep my sanity so that I don't rip trees apart. But those were some pretty big vines going up that tree. So, good thing we started to save it. Same thing with that one over there. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. So after all of my running of vines and stuff for the fire and for the general cleanup, we have a bunch of debris and vines which really messes up the lawn sweeper. So we're out picking up vines and little things that would get caught up in that. It's okay. We only have 2.5 acres to do. Yeah, no problem. So we're always finding something in the yard. That's a 4-conductor wire broken in the middle. It goes up to there and then gets buried again. So somewhere, at some point, somebody buried a wire that goes from somewhere that away to somewhere that away. And sometimes nature just happens. That's Thor. And Loki inside here. And 2 Sandhill Cranes. Just outside our window. Just foraging. Yeah. Didn't used to get this in California. Not in our residential area anyway. I love Florida. These guys just have no fear. They just kind of hang out. Not like the deer. But of course, Sandhill Cranes are protected. They're the ones that were gobbling.
Yes.
I didn't realize they gobbled like turkeys. So here is the finished hose cart. Completely assembled. It all went mostly well. Well, it is next to the well. Anyway, should get some good use out of it. It'll make it easier when I do the burns to connect the hose to the well there and then just spool out to the fire. Actually started putting some more stuff out there. So I'm ready for the next burn. Don't know if I'll do that Saturday or when. But yeah, good times. And if you look, this is really hard. This is all muscadine hanging out in here. I wonder what kind of tree this is. It is, I can't even tell. Is it, it's so confusing when I have a maple. Because the maple leaves and the muscadine look so similar. I wonder, man, if you guys spot it, let me know. Oh, it looks like muscadine. I don't know if the tree is completely dead underneath or what, but this is the struggle we have. Trying to uncover and save as many of these nice trees as we can and get rid of the overgrowth of muscadine. So my next, there's my tractor, yay. It's been a real workhorse. This is my next section though. That is an oak. And this is a bunch of palmetto that we're going to have to clear. Then I'm just going to kind of work my way around this way. And then for reference, that's where we were working the other day. And it looks like most of the vines going up that tree are starting to die. So yay, I think we got it all clipped good. That's the goal. I think that one we're not going to try and pull all those down. We're just going to let them die off. Die a slow, painless death. Got a break from work, lunch break. It's actually class day. I'm learning about Tableau. But I wanted to come back and kind of go over the areas I cleared the other day. There's some of these vines here that are growing up from the ground into the trees. I want to see if I can cut those and get as many of them to stop growing up as I can. And there's a bunch of stuff that I cleared, so I'm going to have a lot of work cut out for me. Probably won't get it all done this lunch, but we're going to try. Well, been plinking away at this stuff for a couple of hours now. Of course, a lot of the progress I do doesn't look like a whole lot. But what we got done today is there's a lot of muscadine and greenbrier vines that had worked their way from the ground up. So I've been trying to, still got a lot of work around that one for the suckers. Trying to just make a zone on each of these about 4 feet up and clear some around it so that I can see if there's greenbrier or vines growing up on these. And then we're starting to see, like this one, all that dead stuff is actually vines that we cut a little while ago. So you can see on the ground I've got also trimmed a few bushes or branches and such. And I keep coming across more palmetto that needs to get clear. But a lot of what you see on the ground right now that's not dirt is stuff that I trimmed out of the trees. The space between us and Glory and Jason, this is a cool tree. There's a gate there. And there's actually a path that leads from the house up here. But, of course, that limb grew in front of it. But there's a lot of stuff growing up here. I had noticed that there's some vines growing up towards the transformer. I gotta figure out where those are coming from. I think they're gonna, I made it to about here. think that those are going to be coming from this area here, because there's the stays right there. So I should probably be a little careful in this area. But it looks like there's still a lot of greenbrier. I haven't decided to go down this path. This goes right along the fence line. I think this is the deer's sneaky way around the house now when we're outside. But the next zone is going to be kind of working in the palmetto in that space. But keep chipping away at all this, a little bit every day, and eventually, you can kind of see through there, eventually we'll have a nice open space with enough trees to give interest, but not being completely overgrown. So anyway, I don't know about you, but I'm having a blast doing this. Good times. So one of the other things I did today was, those are chlorine, 2.5 gallon chlorine containers. And that's our chlorinator and our injector. I don't know if most folks know how wells work. But down here we have the well and the on-off switch for the pump. The pump has a pressure regulator, this guy here, which when the pressure drops to a certain point, it kicks the well pump on, and it pressurizes this, which is the, well, pressure tank. Water flows out and around through, well, kind of hard to see with my containers, but up and into this holding tank. This is essentially the holding tank where, so if this is the injector, this hose, black hose kind of runs down into that pipe. It's injecting the chlorine solution, and this tank is really just a place for that chlorine to do its work. And every so often I've got to backflush that. Alright, so I jumped around the other side. This is the discharge, that big white with the black valve on it. That's the discharge. What I have to do every so often, because that holding tank actually kills, a bunch of the nasty whatever's in the water. And so all of that settles to the bottom of that tank. So that valve down here is actually, when you open it, all the junk that's settled in there kind of pours out. And if you can see, there's two other hoses, one there, and kind of hard to see with the grass in the way, but there's two hoses there. I'll go over that here in a sec. All right, so back at the holding tank, if you will. Then as we work back, we talked a little bit about the chlorinator. But this first black cylinder here, it's got a timer and it can backflush every 3 days. Same thing with this guy, but they're a little bit different purposes. This first one is a charcoal filter. And his job is primarily to remove the chlorine that we injected into the water here to kill stuff. So kind of some irony. I'm pumping all this chemical in that I pay for, and then we're just removing it. This one doesn't require anything special. It just backflushes to move out any of the dirt and chlorine and things that have been trapped in it. And it goes out one of those other two little hoses I showed you a minute ago. This one here, it looks the same. I've actually got a transformer in here, so I'm keeping it from getting wet to run my Wi-Fi out here. But this is the softener, and this has got poly beads in it, and the purpose of the poly beads is to remove the metals from the water, which brings us to its backflush is a little more special, and that's where, let's see if I can get this lid off. I don't know if you guys have seen, but that's, salt. So the salt makes a brine, and that brine is backflushed through the water softener, comes out that hose back where I showed you a little bit ago, and that washes out all of the metals and the stuff that was trapped in the poly beads. So the poly beads need the brine solution to rinse it. The charcoal filter, it doesn't need anything special. You just run water backwards through it essentially, and it cleans it. So there you have it, the components of a residential rural well. The well head, pressure tank, holding tank for the chlorination part, charcoal filter, which removes the chlorination part, and the cylinder that removes the metals, and then the brine solution that back flushes the polys. I gotta figure out, this is my other fun task, and I'll probably do this in a couple days. The pipe that's running from the wellhead this way, that is all unfiltered, untouched, straight out of the ground water. So if you notice, there's two pipes that go down with a valve. One of them's open and one of them's closed. The $20,000 question is, where do they go? I have no idea. I could figure out where the hose tap goes because it goes to my new hose reel, which is handy. But I don't know where those other two. The assumption is that one of those goes to the sprinklers, but I haven't found the valves. Don't know where they are. And the other one, I don't know. So as we put in the shed, I'd like to know where those go. It'd be cool if one of those ran, let's see if I can pull back and give you an idea, from the well, and the shed's going to be here. It'd be cool if one of them ran kind of this away, so that I could maybe utilize that as water for the shed. I don't know, wash basin outside, or a hose bib to wash the cars, or pressure wash, or something. But it would be unfiltered water, so I wouldn't want to drink it per se, but I could use it for washing and stuff. Our well is 3,600 feet down. The reason for that, they tell me, is near a lake, and Lake Mary Jane is that way, half a mile, maybe? Mile? No, half a mile. And so the closer you are to a lake, the more likely you are to get sulfur in the water. So they had to go deeper to avoid getting sulfur. So the water we get out of the ground is actually pretty clean and clear. But I probably still wouldn't drink it. You can taste the iron and the metals in it if you know what hard water tastes like. But anyway, that's my story. So one of these days I got to pull up probably this this paver right here. Hopefully it would be the easiest. Maybe I can just dig around, root a little bit, and see which direction that pipe goes. I'm hoping they both ran down the same trench for a little while. And once I figure that out, maybe I can just dig, and I'll know the depth of the pipe. You know, dig a couple of test holes out and figure out where things go. Oh, one of the things I didn't mention about the well, and it might be sort of tough to see from here. All right, so this pipe here that runs to this hose bib, which is giving our water, so that water down there is filtered and good. But that is the same pipe that runs down, and you'll see a valve, to underground, and that runs pretty much straight over to the house. So I know the run of that pipe. I just don't know where those others go. So we'll figure it out. Just realized Thor was out here listening to my whole spiel. So now Thor is just as much of an expert at residential wells as you guys are. Hi, Thor. How you doing? Yeah? You having fun today? You are definitely a big husky cat. You are not fat, but you're definitely a big kitten. Yes, you are. A big cat. You gonna show me your belly? Look at that belly. And he looks chubby, but you feel him and he's solid. He's one solid kitty. Anyway, that's Thor. We had to name him Thor because our other cat is Loki. Loki is definitely the god of mischief in this house. And Thor walks a little bit more silently, but he's definitely the more powerful dude. You watching for the deer too? Yeah? I was going to see if I can get him on camera here. Going this way. Do you think we scared him? Oh, there's one. Yep. Just going through everything. It's weird because everything in there I just cut. Most things. So. Oh, hey. He sees me. Or she sees me. Yeah, I'm just watching. There were 2 or 3 out there earlier before I had my camera in hand. There's the other one. This one moved off that way. And then they're like, I don't know, there's somebody watching me eat. Last night we had friends over, and on the lawn we had a whole bunch of deer, about 5, just kind of lounging. They were actually napping on the lawn. So, yeah, they decided that maybe that stuff wasn't too good. Or I'm just hanging out here bugging them. But yeah, you get frequent deer visitors now. Especially as I let the grass grow. I know, Thor. So yeah, last night they were hanging out pretty much here in the lawn. What do you think, Thor? Yeah? Okay. Thor approves. Well, it's mowing day again. Cody's out there mowing up a storm. And I did some more clearing. Oh, and he did the lawn sweeper too. I did some more clearing. I'm going to walk over to this other tree and show you what's going on, but I'm afraid I lost one of my oaks. So this oak is here in the backyard, right next to one of our trails. I'll kind of pan around to give you a perspective of where it is. So just off our bird cage, we have this oak. It's a gorgeous size oak too, but it's the one I was telling you I couldn't quite identify, couldn't figure out what it was. Well, all of the dead that you see on there are oak leaves, and all of the green that you see on there is muscadine. So I'm not sure what caused it to meet its demise, but every branch I looked at, I kind of perused it during lunch today, is dead. So I'll have to cut it off at the base and pull the stump out and go from there. But maybe it was carpenter ants, I don't know. We'll see as I start to pull it out. Alright, so there is the tree. I'm going to see if I can't surgically kind of go around this thing and figure out what's going on before I call it a total loss. But sorry I didn't put my external mic on. So audio will be a little weak. I'm seeing on here alive is muscadine, and the rest is just dead. There's some weird poopy stuff on there. Not sure what that is. Maybe that was what did it in, I don't know. Let's keep going. A whole brick structure in here. And again, the ends are all dead. It's brittle. And muscadine. So yeah, think the whole thing's a loss. That's sad. I like my live oaks. Seeing anything on it, so I have no idea. That was quite strange. Alright, I think I'll go get the tractor and see what I can do to get that stump out. Okay, well, got that oak out. I didn't see any ant damage. Didn't see anything else other than a really small root system. So I have no idea what got it. There's a nice oak tree there, a live oak. There's another oak tree pretty much right here in the middle. There's this nice laurel oak, and of course the pines surrounding it. Now you can see that pine back here. It's got muscadine growing up it, so we got to work our way towards that, and I'm almost there. There were some huge crowns in here. Let me see if I can find, yeah. that stuff there was all muscadine crown. And it was just really horrendous in here. But there's another nice live oak. We'll get that uncovered. And kind of hard to see, but in there that's all overgrown with muscadine. So we got to uncover that and find out what's the real tree under there. So once we get a lot of this going, I think that the property should be much easier to maintain. But now standing in here, you can kind of see this is another. Oh, this isn't a live oak. This is a really fragrant tree. We haven't quite figured out what it is yet. But I like it. As I destroyed one, just because everything else was in the way and it was tiny, it let off this really, I wouldn't say pungent. It's a very fragrant plant. Then we've got this space over here. Now that I've got this all cleared out, again, I've got some grappling to do. But let me walk around this other side. You can start to see I've gone from trail to trail. Oh, there's what's left of our orange tree. Man, the bugs are just starting to eat us up. So this is another large, I think that's an oak. I don't know. It's got a little bit different leaf shape. But that's another big gorgeous tree. 2 more laurels. But now you can see, looking that way, we're starting to get a little bit more openness in the forest. And I've got a couple more palmettos here and one over there. I wanted to walk over and see if I can get to this from the other side. I think I can come right up in here. Yeah, I should be able to get that one from this side and then start to pick up some of this. I don't know if I want to deal with things on the other side of this trail, but this is another gorgeous oak. And it's got some vines growing up it, so I may need to just clear around it. But then we start, this way is visible from the house, so I want to start clearing out this palmetto. And there's quite a bit in this area. I started this the other day, and there's just going to be a ton of it. Now, as I go through this, it's going to start to expose us to Glory and Jason's house. So, but this is a good stand of palmetto, all up in there, and then looking towards Glory and Jason's house. That, it may not be too bad, because from us it's going to be looking into our forest, into their forest. But this will be the next fun task. So looking back the other way, you can see where there isn't grass and where there's brown and sand. That's what we got cleared today. And it is mosquito time. So I think I'm going to wrap this, put the tractor away, and call it a day. Not sure if I'm going to do a burn tomorrow or what, but we got men's group. Anyway, take care. Good times. Well, I was planning on doing a burn today, but I called forestry and they said, nobody's burning today. The winds are too high and there's going to be thunderstorms later. I'm like, thunderstorm's not a big deal, but I guess it's probably the wind. So, no burning. I actually had a plan on how to do it all and what I was going to do, burn, and which pile to go at first, but no such luck. So, what I think I'm going to do is work on making that pile bigger today. So, continue around the front of the back of the property, the front area of the forest, and pluck out a few more palmettos and see how that goes. But it's always something. Oh, and I got to remember to put fuel stabilizer in, where are they? The wood chipper and the log splitter. They've been sitting for a little while, and I should probably put something in the fuel just to make sure it doesn't get jelly. Anyway, that's my day. Well, that's not a good sign. I popped something in the backhoe. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see all the fluid. It was when I hit one of the overs, you know, when you go all the way to the end of a motion, it would pop. And I gotta, well, I'm gonna probably just power wash the whole thing and then see if I can figure out where it's coming from. But at the moment, backhoe will be down for repairs. Alright, so I successfully, after a little persuasion, as Cody would say, percussive persuasion, say that 3 times fast, I was able to get the locking pins loosened from the backhoe and got it removed. Topped off the hydraulic fluid, so no more leaks on the tractor itself, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to replace that hose. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen it without the backhoe on it, so this will be interesting. But now I can put the rotary cutter on there, and I can, let me spin around here. We've got box blades, so I can work on trails, and I've got the rake, landscape rake, so I can actually start grooming some of this space that I've done. Well, after a couple of tweakings and putting cotter pins in and having to undo things, I now am proficient at attaching the 3-point hitch and the quick attach. Just need to adjust these the side to side so that can go a little bit further than maybe I'd like it to. I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of a methodology for this, but the only thing I saw so far is to make sure that the quick attach is kind of parallel or perpendicular to the ground, parallel to the back of the tractor, however you want to look at it. But anyway, so there you have it. Now I can start playing with my other implements.